Sure.
organizing this. I knew at some point our groups would come together, and I'm really happy that it's happening now. So thank you so much. Um,
Absolutely.
for those of you that don't know me, my name's Shannon. I work with the Power BI DC user group. And we have been on a little bit of a hiatus, so I'm so grateful that you all have helped us get going again. And this is going to be a new kickoff. I don't want to take up too much time, but I do want to introduce, we have 2 new community leaders on our leadership team. I'm going to be taking a step back. I no longer live in DC, and I'm no longer a part of
Mm.
the community technically. I now work at Microsoft. So we've got some new leads stepping in. Leslie Welch is pictured on the left. Leslie is a managing consultant at Excella. She is super involved in the Power Platform and DataViz community in the DC area. She's constantly hosting events, and she's wonderful. We're so lucky to have her on board. So welcome, Leslie. Pictured on the right, we have Lenore Flower. She is a business intelligence analyst at a consulting firm. So she's a consultant, and I had a chance to meet her in Chicago last month. And I am so excited to have both of their energy and excitement on board. And I just want to give them a huge warm welcome. So,
Excellent. Excellent. Well, welcome, guys. And then I believe you got a couple more Power BI chapter announcements, some things around Ignite.
yes, I won't actually go through these in detail, but these were just kind of some of the highlights that came out of Ignite on the Power BI side of the house. We'll drop some more links in the chat to the different announcements, but lots of cool things coming up, as always, related to Power BI. So we just wanted to highlight a few of them. Rocio, did you want to say anything about the Ignite highlights?
No, this is just a shout out to my team, some of my teammates at Microsoft who helped me put this list together. It's our favorites. There's a lot more, so I'll drop the link in a bit. But definitely check this out. But these were just a couple of our favorites.
Very good. Very good. Novo Data Platform updates. Again, this is our last big meetup for 2022. And when I say big, we had, usually we get about maybe 20 people, 25 people. The RSVPs for this joint meetup went over 100. We had 45 plus from the Nova Data Platform side, and we had 60 plus from the Power BI DC user group. So over 100 RSVPs. I know we get some washout on who shows up, but very good on that. We've got some, you've got the PASS Data Community Summit that's going to go on in Seattle from November 15th to the 18th. Side note, there could be some big things announced out of that. I don't know for sure, but I know we're waiting on a version of SQL Server 2022 to come out. So maybe that might be announced. And that's not like a hard tease. I don't know. There's also Live 360 in Orlando coming up, kind of the same time frame, and you can get a discount code with BHOYR, named after our illustrious co-administrator for the meetup, Prashant Boyer. And again, you can track what's going on with the Northern Virginia platform meetup by just following us on our meetup page. All this information I'll paste in. You got, if there's any slides or downloads that aren't posted by the speaker because maybe they have a blog or something, and I'm sure Alex does. He's quite prolific on Twitter and the blogging, things like that. But we'll also post the recording to this out on aka ms/Azure Cloud events. Our meetups for 2023 will be some type of balance between in-person, virtual. We have no idea yet. But again, I'll see you guys all in 2023. Follow us on Twitter, NovaSQL and Power BC, Power BIDC. A lot of good stuff that comes out. There could be community discussions, maybe some type of help or some type of information coming out on these Twitter accounts. So both of those Twitter accounts are important to follow. Again, from NovaSQL issues, follow us at meetup.com at NovaSQL. And again, we'll post this information, this recording on the YouTube channel. We're always looking for talent, and you can ping us here. And I'm going to paste all of this if you didn't get this. I'm going to hand it over right now to a Mr. Alex Powers, who is a senior program manager here at Microsoft. And that's a nice screenshot of my crappy Windows Explorer view, but I'm going to hand it over to Alex. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim. And then let me go ahead and start sharing here on my side. And
I'll shut my camera off because I talk with my hands and I distract.
no, you're fine. I'm the same way. It's like I'll do the intro with the camera, but at a certain point, like it's
That's
coming
right.
off. I gotta take back
Exactly.
the CPU and RAM. So
Exactly.
well, first and foremost, just welcome everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out here. Myself, I came up through the community, love the community. Uh, Here in St. Louis, Missouri is where I'm located. Awesome user group. I need to take the effort to get it up and running here as the world is now starting to come back open. So if you're ever in town, let me know. Love to hang out. But with that, for today, I want to talk to you about all the cool things that you can do within Power Query Online. Yes, I am a huge fan of Power Query. I think that you could throw Power Query at anything. You could throw a Power Query at everything. I am just such an absolute fan. Areas that I feel like we're not doing a good enough story with, or just telling you all the amazing features and capabilities of the cloud, of the service, and then of course just planting that seed of when will Power Query Online be coming to that local environment. So with that, just for today, the objective by the end of the 60 minutes, provide you with an introduction and hopefully an overview of the features that are available today in Power Query Online. So then this way you are prepared when they come to that local Power BI desktop experience, or maybe in like the Excel desktop experience. So what is Power Query Online? Power Query Online is the four corners in which you see in front of you. So the modern ribbon, it's these modern features, these modern capabilities. It's made to look and feel kind of like the Office 365 experience. If you're from the Power BI side, you've already seen us go through kind of this transformation with the ribbon. But this is an application. This application is then hosted within downstream services. So if you think of like Power BI, where there's like the Web View 2, which is basically just providing a web-like interface within Power BI desktops, and that way you could easily clicky, draggy, droppy, build your visuals on the canvas, but in the background is purely just running in a web-based application. So Power Query Online is. So where is Power Query Online at? Well, it's hosted in various services. So Power Query Online is hosted in the Power BI service as it exists today, Power Apps, Power Automate, Azure Data Factory, Dataverse and Teams. Yes, you can build Power Query data flows in Dataverse and Teams. How many people today are building ETL pipelines in your Teams application? I'd be curious. Customer Insights, and then also Excel on Mac. Lenore, hand raised. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying I do it.
Oh, well, that's
So,
awesome then.
yeah.
Tell me
it's a
about that
great tool.
experience. What are you using it for?
I can't say too much about it because it's for a client.
That's fine.
But no, in general, we've found it to be very useful.
Awesome. Thank you. Customer Insights and then Excel on the Mac edition, which breaks my heart that the Excel Mac has the new modern experience where the Excel Windows application is still kind of that old flavor of Power Query that's available kind of within the desktop application today. So Power Query Online, web-based application hosted in these various services. So what does that mean for us? Oh my goodness. As downstream beneficiaries, they create and edit one code base that can be instantly deployed to all of these different applications to just inherit new modern goodness, as opposed to kind of like a one-off version that maybe exists today, kind of in Power BI desktop, in Excel desktop. So you're asking, Alex, so when is it coming to Power BI desktop? If you're telling us it's everywhere else, when is it coming? The Power BI landscape? Well, I'm happy you asked. Out on the Power BI release plan, they have the new Power Query experience available in Power BI desktop, currently targeting for the March 2023 as a public preview. So bringing all these incredible experiences to your local development environment. This is the first time you're hearing about it. Oh my goodness. Throw some claps, throw some emojis, throw some love. Yes, absolutely. This is why I'm so excited for this presentation today, is to get you prepared for what's coming soon. Install the template app if you haven't already. Bottom left-hand corner, If you're in a GCC environment, let me know. I'm happy to share the PBIX, or Leslie will help as well. She has a copy of it. Maybe we can upload it to a central repository. I don't know. Just thinking out loud. All right, so what's coming? Diagram view. So out in the Power Query Online experience, if you're more of a visual type of experience, whether that be through like a SQL Server integration services, maybe like a Tableau data prep, or even like an Alteryx kind of background, if you've used kind of these various tools, very similar over here in Power Query, where you can now look at kind of a visual canvas of your ETL operations and just do additional transformations. One of my favorites here is going to be global search. Maybe you're trying to transform some of your data. You're not quite sure where the button is located. There's so many buttons on the ribbon. There's so many different places where you could do things. Just at the very top here, just type in what it is you want to do. From there, it will instantly pop up that UI box. Continue. Somebody was yelling at me today, this morning on Twitter to say, well, how do I find my queries? I say, well, have you used search? And they have not responded as of yet, but I don't think they have. So I'll be excited to kind of demonstrate that for us. Of course, schema view. Maybe you're dealing with large volumes of data and you're saying, well, I can't wait for this data preview to finish. It's taking forever. Well, if you know the data, if you know what's contained there within, you can just flip over to the schema view, which will just provide you, here's the name of the column. Obviously, here's the data type. Continue to do transformations on top of it without any of that kind of background waiting processing. Step diagnostic indicator is just a huge win for anyone that loves query folding. So anytime that you connect to kind of that remote system, from there it will send back hopefully a translated statement to that system, letting you know, yes, green lightning bolts here. You are in the fold. You are folding that back to the source system. If not, kind of maybe some of these reds, some of these yellows, opaque, kind of within the unknown, but just an awesome resource here. Or today in that local experience, you have to right click every step. You have to go to view native query if it exists. If it doesn't, you have to kind of go back and see where it broke. It's just a large dance. We're up in Power Query Online. Oh my goodness, it's right there on the right-hand side. We can see it all the time. But I don't think anyone came here today to look at PowerPoint slides. So enough of all this talking, I guess as Patrick likes to say. Let me go ahead and stop my screen share here, and we're going to jump right into the online application.
And Alex, I'm just going to interrupt you for one
Yeah.
moment. We had some sort of a weird Teams thing where they split us into two different meetings. But
No,
the
it's fine.
folks in the other meeting are coming over now. I'm seeing
then
some of
let's wait.
them.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you need to wait. I think go ahead. But we had people are slowly dropping off of that other meeting and are now in here. So
Oh,
that
fantastic.
explains some things.
All right. Well, thanks for those who are joining us. To bring you up to speed, Power Query Online is the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's coming to the local desktop environments, within Power BI Desktop, targeted for March 2023 for public preview. Yell at the Excel team, tell them, hey, I want you to bring Power Query Online as well. I would just love to have this modern experience everywhere. Cool. So with that, I'm going to look at Power BI Service. This would be no different than if I was to be in Power Apps, if I was to be in Customer Insights, if I was to be in Azure Data Factory. Of course, there's some slight nuances between each, but the interface is the exact same. So in a Power BI workspace, just going to take a look here and build a data flow. You can also do a data mart. Power Query Online is also hosted for support of ingesting data into a data mart. But with this data flow, no, I don't want to create one. I love this beautiful pop-up though. So I'm just going to click no create a data flow for now. So, and then within this, I'm going to connect out to probably about 100 text CSVs. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to do get data over and over again for the next hour. You're thinking, Alex, there's no way I'm going to let you do that. I already know those basic points and clicks. You got to show me something new. All right. Well, then let's import a model. Here on the right-hand side here, third column, we're just importing an existing model of a data flow. Yes, there's more than one model within Power BI. So this will bring in all of my ETL logic, all the points and clicks that I've previously done. I'm going to do edit credentials real quick here. I'll just make sure that I've set this here. This is all anonymous public data. So after the event, I'll share the web page if you would like to kind of follow through this just on your own. Cool. So opening up now this data flow. I see my different tables that have already been loaded. Going to edit tables. We are now in the Power Query online experience. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Things I want to do. Getting these daily file dumps from a vendor every day. They're just saying we're dropping these out in a repository. It's up to you to start ingesting them, appending them, cleaning them up. All right. All right. I've been in that scenario before. I know exactly what we need to do. Some of these things, I need to start getting this data ready for kind of the business intelligence type of star schema. So I can't have all these snowflakes. I need to start bringing things together. One of the first things I want to do is just start merging these different tables. Something I can do is go ahead and right click this. I can do a reference. And on the left hand side here, we're to zoom in. This is now creating a computed table, which is leveraging the enhanced compute engine within Power BI. So out in the Power BI service, so the hosted application for Power Query Online, we can do things like leveraging a SQL-based cache to do intensive operations, like a merge, like an append. So especially if you're dealing with kind of these low refresh times, oh my goodness, leverage the enhanced compute engine wherever you can, those merges and joins. So I've referenced a query. Anytime that we reference a query, it will leverage the enhanced compute. If we're able to disable this, it then just remains with the standard kind of mash appendation that exists as of today. Go ahead and enable that one back again, just because I want to get that raw power. Cool. So DIM product raw, we want to also combine this with our DIM product subcategory. And actually, let me scale back just one more item here because I need to set up my environment here for kind of my dev work. Up in the Home tab, within the options, global options, there's a few different menu things here that I would highly recommend configuring whenever you're getting started here within the Power Query Online. First one being show script and step callout. I'll show you what that does here in just a moment. Column profiling. So if you're doing like column quality, you kind of want to know what is the distribution of errors, of null values. All of these are incredibly rich. Just be aware there may be just a slight kind of processing time to get some of those values, but I've never found it to be too intrusive. Type detection here at the very bottom. You've seen a list of applied steps on the right-hand side, and there's just 100 different change types. Absolutely click the never set column types here. So then that way at the very end of your ETL transformations, you can just click it once as opposed to having to delete all of this in the previous steps. And then one last one here, always allow parameterization in data source and transformation dialogues. This is very helpful if you're doing kind of like a dev test prod, where maybe you're pointing to different addresses, if you're thinking like servers, or even like a SharePoint address. This way you could have that be more of a parameterized kind of data source value there. Cool. Global environment. So with this, every time I come out to Power Query Online, all of these settings will have been saved from this day forward. Environment, never have to worry about it ever again. Love it, love it, love it. So let me go back here then to kind of the DIM product raw. I do have a couple steps on the right-hand side. The hover above for the step script. If I was to hover above this now, let me scale out just a little bit. I can see the actual M script when I hover above the step. So table.transform column types, it's casting all my different data types. If I hover above source, it's got my kind of a function that is being used. So out here, I don't have to click and look for the formula bar. I don't have to wait for kind of that preview to load instantly. I can just hover above these different items. It's a huge win over here for that Power Query Online experience. Awesome. So let me try something else then. Kind of within this merge, you know, I talked about kind of just right-clicking, referencing. course, you would have to know that. You would have to kind of search for it, find it maybe here within the ribbons, or we can leverage that global search at the very top. So this Alt Q, kind of the shortcut. I can type in merge queries as new. One of my favorites here is just pressing the space bar, see more results for kind of space. Every action, every data source, whatever it is that you're looking for, you can instantly just come out here and type in. Now kind of pause here. How many people are leveraging maybe the global search available within Power Query Online to help find these buttons that you're commonly having to kind of toggle between the different tabs, find the right click menu? How many people have seen this before? Is this maybe your first time seeing it? We'll pause there. First time seeing it, sounds like.
Bueller.
Sure. No, it's fine. I love it. People are like frantically taking notes then. The one item down here at the very bottom, the gentleman yelling at me on Twitter. So if I was to maybe like, I have a long list of queries on the left-hand side. I don't know what to, I don't know where the thing is at. I don't know where it's stored. It's just a massive thing. I can type in the name, dim. There we go. All the different queries, all of their names, I can instantly search it here at the very top. Let's to go down here, maybe select dim geography raw, press enter, instantly takes me to that query. This is why I'm such a huge fan of this global search. I don't feel like it's being talked about enough. Look for SharePoint. So that would be maybe connectors. Maybe I want to give feedback, send feedback. Maybe I want to find shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts. Enter here, instantly taken out into the documentation where I can now start having shortcuts within Power Query Online, where I unfortunately just within the desktop experience, very limited in terms of how I could do editing, what are those key combinations to help me just enrich it more. Kind of my favorite ones here, Control M being a new blank query, or Control Shift M to get me into the advanced editor. So out here, once again, if I was to just Control Shift M, boom, instantly into the advanced editor. I didn't have to go find the tab. I didn't have to go find the button. Just a keyboard combination. Control M, blank new query. Just like if you were in Excel, pressing like Control T for a new table object. These shortcut combinations, oh my goodness, they've just enriched my development experience just as a Power Query user.
Alex, we've got a hand up if you want to take a couple of
Yes.
questions.
I love questions and I love people jumping in at any point in time. So please, Shannon.
Yeah, I just have one question. Does the global search also search the information that you put in the properties, like your description of the query? Or is it just the name?
It's just gonna be the name. But let me understand this a little bit more. So if I was to right click, go into properties, I want to talk about my cat. So kind of a situation here where you're thinking, like, can I find maybe some metadata about that table? Is
Yeah,
that right? I love it.
correct.
Let me take that back to the team. Love the idea. What else?
There's
Anyone
one
else
in
want
the
to jump
chat.
in?
There's one in the chat that says this is a search on queries used across all apps, which is using Power Query or within data flows in this scenario.
So it would be within your environment here currently. So if I was to type in like the word fact, obviously it's not here within one of my tables. There may be some other things that I can kind of recognize, but anything where like the table name here within this environment is what it's going to be searching for.
When you say environment, you mean this data flow, not like this workspace.
You got it. Yep. Within this current data flow. Awesome. Any other
And-
questions on that?
Z
Yeah,
has a
we've got one
question.
more.
Yes.
I'll read it. Is there an up limit for the model size in memory?
Model size of memory. Be kind of curious there. What are you thinking? This is purely just
Oh,
kind of
upper
a
limit.
an upper limit in terms of memory. So Power Query is purely just loading you previews of the data So down here, 1,000 rows where you can kind of profile maybe like an entire data set. This is why it's so fast, so nimble. If you're thinking about, well, upper memory limits, like I wouldn't be worried about that until I'm at the point of refresh. And then from there, it's purely going to be with regards to align limitations. These are the limits that you should be considering in terms of like refresh limits, evaluation counts, container size, concurrent evaluations. So if we're looking at Power BI, it's going to be 1,000, and then just a daily evaluation time. How many hours can you kind of exhaust within that 24-hour cycle? So you'd be able to do up to 100 hours kind of a single day. But that's what I don't know. I would need to know more about the scenario to kind of let you know like what's the upper limit. I know people are doing hundreds of millions of rows within data flows today. So
This
It's more
this is per workspace, yeah.
no, this would be for the kind of the SKU or the capacity. So if you're like in a shared kind of a SKU based, but not limited to just an individual workspace. I can drop this page in the chat. Sounds like there's some people who really want to dig into the documentation here. Awesome. Shannon, any other questions here?
I think you got it.
Sweet. All right, well, dig in the details. We can dig into kind of uses limitations here at the end if we need to. Absolutely love it though here. Documentation is just a point and click away, keyboard shortcuts, support, Power Query blog, just go to the help page. A lot of these items, once again, just available out in search. So if you wanted to, find documentation, it's right there. If you want to go to the Power Query blog, it's right there. Why point and click when you can just search? That's kind of my big win there. All right, so let's start leveraging this enhanced compute engine. We've talked about the data preview. We've talked about maybe it's just like slowing us down a little bit from time to time. So from this, I'm going to go in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm going to go into schema mode to show schema view. Boom. Column names only, my data types of that column, and then also key, which is pretty interesting here. So out in schema tools, I now have this new ribbon. Choose columns, remove columns, very simple things that we kind of do when we're thinking about like a select star from within like a SQL statement. Well, I'm going to select these columns only. I don't need everything. But mark is key. So mark the currently selected column as a key within the table. Well, my product key is a key. So I'm going to go ahead and do mark as key. Here in this column, we now have this new fun little icon. We now have the new step indicator here on the right. So if I was to hover above, I see the script table.add key, kind of also a false or a true. I'm going to do this once again here for the dim product category. Notice the load time very easy here in terms of getting up and previewed. Mark as key. And then one more time here, the product subcategory. Mark as key. Mark the product category here again. And I need to look at some of the documentation. So let me go ahead and Alt Q, documentation. Get the function reference. There we go. Language reference. Docs out here, I swear. And we're gonna look at functions, table type, add key. Awesome. Adds a key to the table where column is the list of column names. Define the key and is primary. Specifies whether the key is a primary or is a foreign key. So it is logical. All right, some cool examples here at the bottom. Kind of gives me an idea, if it's a primary or if it's a kind of foreign, just change this indicator here from true to false. Love the documentation. I also love just being out in the editor reading documentation out here. So one of my favorite things, these keyboard shortcuts. Control M gets me in a new query. And then here, zoom in, very top. I'm gonna do table.add key. I'm not going to include the open close parentheses. I'm just include the name of the function. Press that here, press next. Switch to data view real quick. Awesome. So it shows me the documentation, the function arguments out here within the Power Query Online experience. So this way, maybe I don't have to run out to the docs. Just any time that you kind of need to kind of read or kind of get a quick reference of here, what are the arguments that I need to satisfy? If I was to change this in maybe like a select rows, let me press enter. It's going to give me that documentation here for select rows, table.max instantly. So this is available today, both in Power Query desktop and any of those experiences like Power BI desktop or Excel desktop or any place where Power Query Online is hosted. Type in the function name, press enter, documentation is right there. Don't have to run out to a web browser. I'll pause here. How many people have seen this before in terms of being able to reference documentation just natively within the Power Query Online experience? This may be the first time you're seeing this. Seen before.
I have not
Awesome.
seen this before.
Love it. First timer again.
I have not
Thank you, Leslie.
before.
Oh, you've seen this before?
No.
No. Awesome. Well, Christy, hopefully this is a lifesaver then. Just whenever you're in that development mode, you can just type in the name, don't include the open close parentheses. Boom. Function. Documentation. I love it. Keep you in the zone
Yeah.
here. That mashup. Awesome. So dim
Yeah.
product raw, we've marked our keys. I'm going to jump back into schema view. Product category also, we've got that listed here, and then product subcategory. If I remember kind of this product category key, I want to flip this from, is it primary to, is it, I'm stuck in my head here. Is it primary, true or false? So is it a logical? Yes, the subcategory key is true. This is the primary product category key here. This is false. Oh, am I typing the right one? There we go. Product subcategory key, true. Then this one is going to be false. So, and this one we're going to mark as true. And this one we're also good there. And subcategory key is going to be our false. So this is going to be our true. I just wanted to do that real quick in terms of the add key, true or false, because marking this will help with the merging of our data when it comes into that mashup. So marking the key will let it know that we are not attempting to do any type of aggregate values here against these tables. It is purely for our merging operations. So now back in dim product raw, merge these queries now, and jump back into just kind of our data preview inside. Purge queries from dim product raw to subcategory. Wish there was a control G in this space up here. That's the one place where I'm like, oh gosh. Awesome. Subcategory key to our subcategory key. This data is perfect. It's beautiful. All rows match. It's a miracle within Power Query and Power BI. Let's go and press OK here now. Get our dim product raw. We can expand these columns. I don't need this anymore. Keep bringing this in. One more merge. The category key to my very last here category key. Once again, it's beauty. It matches perfectly. This is the most perfect data set in the world. I love the icons here though too at the very bottom here, just with our join kind, just something not available with that local experience today. Yep, love that you called out the icon set too here, Donald. Let's press OK here. We've merged this data. We've let our engine know that these keys are only being used for joins. We're not doing any type of aggregations on top of them, kind of from table to table. So we're improving that performance here as well. I'm going to call this just my dim product table here. make sure everything is nice and beautiful here in terms of our naming. Then I'm going to move these to a collective group. So I'll right click, move to group, new group, my staging raw tables used to bring into PQ with no transformations. Awesome. I always love the boy or Girl Scout kind of rule, leave it better than what you found it. So especially here on the left-hand side, if I see a long list of queries, if I don't see them logically grouped, I will always be like, oh my goodness, let's help you, help yourself, start putting these within groups that make a logical kind of boundary of what they do, why they're there. So in this example, I grouped 3 different queries. I added maybe some of that metadata description, like kind of the earlier question, can I search on top of that? But just right here, right click properties. I'm now able to see these descriptions. So the next person who comes out into my work, they can easily take over, maybe start from where I left off, or just add some additional improvements here. Awesome. So very easy in terms of maybe groups. How many people are leveraging groups as of today? I'll pause there. Like people are grouping your queries. Seeing some thumbs.
Oh yeah, all the time.
All the time. You have to. You have to. Especially as the projects can just get bigger and bigger. Well, I love the left-hand side. Grouping is very cool, but I don't really get a sense of how is the data flowing together. Bottom right-hand side here now, we looked at our schema view. We know that the data view is more of kind of like that grid-based, here's all of your data. How can I view this maybe visually? So diagram view, click this now, and then I can minimize my current data preview, or I can bring it back in the maximize. I'm gonna go ahead and minimize this now. I have the full canvas here of the diagram view. If I remember some of my dim product raw, I can go in this expand here at the very top. We have our source. We had that change type step. We also have the mark key column. If I was to hover above this, oh my goodness, there's that script step call out again. I know exactly the M that was written. This is so cool. Whew, I love that. I can see the flow of my data. So if I was to hover above this line here now, I can see the 3 queries that were being used merged together. They were referencing kind of an earlier function that I was using to go out and collect all this data, so you didn't have to see me get data from CSV 100 times in a row. I understand the flow. Expanding this now, I see the merge queries. Once again, these are references to my earlier queries. If I was to hover above, this is referencing the dim product category, raw step, expanded, merge queries, dim product category, raw. In terms of the tables, hovering above, once again, the step scripts. I can expand all related queries. So if I wanted to see the complete flow of the transformations, go and do that now. It's now expanded out each of these individual steps and how they roll up into my final query. Top right here, actually, I'm sorry, left. I don't understand my directions at the moment. Top left here, dim product. If I double click this, I can change the name, update this thing. Boom, I've now updated my query. If I was to do Alt Q, I can look for update this thing, dim product, update this thing. Wow. Editing here within the diagram view, I can add additional steps. Maybe like that choose columns we were talking about earlier. I could say keep top rows. So a lot of these same actions that I was typing within that search at the very top, I can continue to search for just here on the right-hand side, kind of within this diagram view. Let me pause here. How many people are using the diagram view today to maybe do data transformations as opposed to kind of the grid-based data preview? Or is this maybe your first time seeing it?
I've used it in desktop during like model review, but I didn't realize that there were changes you could make within this view.
Yep. And that's kind of like the dependency view within desktop. Is that what you're referencing, Leslie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So the dependency view, more of just like, here's the logical structure. You can't change or do anything with it. And I believe that one is like more of a top to bottom, where this is giving you more of like
You
a
can, yeah, you
complete
can
flow.
flip it
Yeah.
actually in any direction. But is this, I haven't logged in on my other laptop to check. Is this available in GCC?
Yeah. This is all from the Power Query Online experience.
So there's
anywhere
not a
where-
delay Power Query Online between Community Cloud and all the government clouds?
Nope. You'd be fine there. We're not going to hold back the Power Query Online experience. This is purely just, a UI wrapper for all of the functions, all of the capabilities of the Power
Gotcha.
Query itself.
I mean, Data Marts is not available, so.
Yeah, understand there. Awesome. So people are just talking about, didn't understand you could expand steps. Yes, you can continue to enrich the experience here, whether it be like the right-click menus that you're used to today, from the data preview, right-click product name, split by delimiter, like all of those capabilities. Yes, you can continue to do. So we do like split by delimiters. There we go. All of those capabilities here if you enjoy more of like the visual diagram flow of your data. Bring back the data preview, just bring it up. You can resize it, you can make it smaller. You can disable the diagram view too whenever you're done. I absolutely love that I have 3 different flexible options here: diagram view, data preview, and then also the schema view. So fantastic for those who enjoy like the point and click routes. I do know we have some code friends here in the audience who enjoy maybe writing a little bit more of the the formula bar here within Power Query Online. And we can expand, we can get a few extra rows here of visibility, but that's probably not what you want. You're probably thinking, I would really like just a complete rich development environment for writing my code. Bottom right-hand side here, step. Get a little indicator. So we need to do the step script, or we can look at the complete query script out in the window. Query script, click that. I now see my complete M script here from the very beginning, the first step here with my source, the next merge queries, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm not limited to just a single formula bar view. How many people today are leveraging kind of this query script as opposed to the step script that's available within Power Query Online? Or is this the first time that you're seeing it?
This is the first time, but I think this is awesome.
It's incredible. Incredible. We have some syntax highlighting, of course. Things that are missing that I'm heartbroken about is like IntelliSense. For everyone that's using the Power Query desktop experience, we're like, oh my gosh, that IntelliSense, it always doubles up my words. Don't bring it up here. Get it fixed. Get it right first. Oh my goodness, I'm absolutely with you. So this is where I would encourage you, Power Query SDK, VS Code. Out here. I would encourage you, if you have VS Code installed on your machine, please go check out the Power Query Code SDK. This now allows you to write and evaluate M scripts directly within Visual Studio, so you don't need to run out into a Power Query environment if you don't have to. What I would love to learn from you is, what did you enjoy? What should we bring up into the Power Query Online experience? To evaluate current file, run this simple query. This is absolutely what I would love to see brought up into Power Query Online. But which parts do you need? Which parts do you want? Of course, like hovering above a script here, getting a response of, well, what is the expected return type? What are my arguments? Those should be the MVP bar. That's for me, but I need to hear from you. What should we be focusing on? So that's my homework for everyone here in attendance. Just go check out that VS Code and let me know what you liked and what you kind of like, don't worry about that. All right, cool. So we have all this information now out here. I can instantly kind of run out here and just paste a big O formula here to save us some time, because I think we're out in about 14 minutes. So actually, let me just jump into query folding. That's really why we're here. So I'll do new query, SQL Server database. Let me jump out into my AdventureWorks. All these clean databases that require no transformations. They're just the most wonderful things in the world. So I'll do next here. Connect out into this database. And then just any questions we have as yet, please let me know. Please jump in. So I'm kind of waiting for this window here to load. Do get data again. There we go. Cool. Got AdventureWorks. Hold shift from the top, click all the way down to the bottom, multi-select, press create. Bringing in all these tables now. Expand my query settings. The right-hand side here, now have these step folding indicators. So if I was to hover above this step now, of course I have my scripts. I also have this step will be evaluated by the data source. If I need to learn more, I can just click the link. But at the end of the day, I don't even need to hover above these things. I have the complete folding indicators on the right-hand side. What I'd like to do then is maybe kind of break this fold here, if you don't mind. So then this way we can see what does another indicator maybe look like. So just a simple operation here. Let's do like address line. We'll just rename this to address. There we go. Address. Insert our new step here. You can see at the very top. And for this one, I want to split the column maybe by a delimiter here. Let's go to our customer table. Column by delimiter. We're going to do custom here, /. Okay. There we go. This step will be evaluated outside the data source, letting me know I'm not leveraging the compute and the power of my Azure SQL database any longer. It's now being streamed directly into the mashup engine of Power Query. So especially if you're dealing with like slow refreshes and increased refresh times, you want to come out here and you want to start evaluating, have I broken the fold? With Power Query Online, these step indicators, just an awesome way to kind of understand where it's being broken. Things that you'll probably also want to leverage though is right click here, view query plan. If you're familiar with like SQL Server Management Studio, Azure Data Studio, they do have a query plan available out here within Power Query as well now. So if I was to hover above here, these two operations, this is the perfect query plan. This is what you should ultimately always be aspiring to achieve, which is all the transformations being handled by the remote system. In this example, we have remote here. So this is our SQL Server database. Where to click view details, I can see obviously my server path, database, view details here. I can see the actual SQL statement that is being sent back to that system. Press close. That's the perfect one. Split column by delimiter now. Right click here, view query plan. Oh my goodness, look at this query plan. We have a remote operation here on the right-hand side. Then we start looking at our table. We're starting to do a full scan of that, kind of read through all the schema, understand, well, what do we need to do? We now need to start streaming this into the system. So streaming these add columns, select columns, rename the columns, reorder the column operations. just all this additional kind of heavy lifting that has to be done within the mashup engine. And that's completely fine to have partial folding. As long as your refresh window is still small, you're not worried about it. The boss isn't yelling. They're saying, "Where's my report at 8 a.m.?" This is completely fine. Your query plans may look like this more often than not, but what you should always aspire for is just that very simple remote system into the remote query, that native query here. For those who are kind of working day in and day out to squeeze out those extra minutes within your refresh times, are you leveraging the query plan that exists today on Power Query Online, or is this once again your first time seeing this? Pause there. First time again. First time for a lot of folks, yeah. Awesome. Great to see Jamie as well. Love to have you visiting here, my friend. So is it make.powerapps.com? Is that still right? Yes. Over to Dataverse, data flows. Come on. Come on. Spinny wheels. I love spinny wheels. Let's do a new data flow. I'll just call this something. As you can see, I'm not very good with naming. Choose my data source. I'm just going to get in the window as quickly as possible. So I'll choose a blank query. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Delete, delete. Love all of these queries over here. My favorite trick, copy. Jump over to Power Apps. I can do a paste. Control V. Of course, it yells at me there. Figure these settings. Yes. Create new connection. Anonymous. Do it. Get those loaded here. No, I probably configure this one as well. Connect. Cool. Power Apps. I've got my query script, step script. I've got my schema view. Got my diagram view. Expand all queries. I can see these transformations. I can hover above. I can double click here. I can also find those queries. So maybe all my DIMs. So in terms of those actions at the very top, I can hit space. I can see more results. All of the actions that I can type, search, do whatever I just did in Power BI. Oh my goodness. So the exact same experience of Power Query that's hosted in Power BI service is also the exact same Power Query Online experience that's over in Power Apps. Leslie, go ahead.
Yeah, just mentioning with the copying and pasting because it comes up fairly frequently where I'm working with people who are kind of new to it. If you have a larger model in desktop and there is one query that you need to bring into the service, you copy and paste it in. It is going to also paste in if it's referencing another query, if there's a parameter that's needed for it. If you just have that one, loaded query that you need, you can just copy the ones you need and paste them over, and everything that's needed to load that is going to go along with it.
Exactly.
From desktop to the service.
Yep, love that call out. So if you have any specific functions or other queries that you're kind of merging with, Power Query intelligently brings everything with it that it absolutely needs to. So huge win there. Because I may be building data flows over in Power BI, but I do have some coworkers that are building Power Apps. All of those data flows are available and they can be kind of connected to those some Power Platform data flows. Let me get signed in here real quick. It's MFA everything, MFA everywhere. There we go. Connect next. Then my environments are Power Apps, and then my workspaces are obviously Power BI. Any of the ETL logic that I did over here, I can instantly just bring it into my Power Apps environment just the same. So you can link tables across different applications. I absolutely love that it's that seamless, it's that easy. You don't have to rebuild it just from Power BI into Power Apps. Just link them together, get data from data flows. If we were to look at ADF, Azure Data Factory out here, again, all this MFA in so many places. So do continue. Azure Data Factory on the left-hand side, Power Query available out here now. Decimal Ag. I'll look at this one here real quick. That Power Query online interface hosted over here within Azure Data Factory. Like I said, just a little bit different here, so I don't see the kind of the global search at the very top. But I do see my diagram view is available. My step scripts. You can look at the entire query script, the schema view, query settings, those step folding indicators, all here on the left-hand side. So if you are needing to do massive data transformations at scale, your Power Query talents, your Power Query development experience, like we've been talking about, all of that can be done here, kind of within the next application. With that, though, I know we've kind of got about 3 minutes left. Is that right? Keep me honest there, Tim or Shannon.
Yeah.
Get people
Top to
out
the
of here.
bottom down.
Awesome. So with that, big takeaway here for everyone, start checking out the Power Query Online experience. We know that it's coming locally, within Power BI Desktop, and I just have to cross my fingers. I have to believe that the Excel team is also looking at, well, how do we bring this awesome experience for Excel developers? Get ahead of the curve now. Like as it comes locally, you'll be like, oh my goodness, you should try diagram view. You should enable step scripts. Go into your global options, set this, set that. All these incredible experiences being brought locally. That's why I'm so excited. The other reason is just because your skill set, the talents you're building are transferable to the next application. Jump back out into maybe this PowerPoint deck, and then let me maybe just share this real quick. Awesome. So if you're used to Power Query Online within Power BI today, oh my goodness, you could also do Power Apps, Power Automate, Azure Data Factory, Dataverse and Teams, Customer Insights. If you go out and buy a Mac, yes, you could use this Power Query Online experience for Excel on a Mac. Your skill set immediately today is transferable to what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different places. Wow. Power Query itself is hosted in over about a dozen different applications today. Each one, hopefully trying to move to this Power Query Online experience as quickly as possible. For us Power BI folks, March 2023, kind of looking at that public preview window. So share that excitement. Let the Power BI team know, oh my goodness, when are you bringing that? I need to have it soon. ASAP as possible. If they can make it January, March, or January, February, whatever it is. But I will be so excited when we have this rich experience for all of our desktop developers. With that, though, I do know we're at time, so hopefully you've had fun today, just learning about all these cool things that you can do within Power Query Online. Always recommend kind of connecting with me if you can. So out on Twitter, Not About the Cell, or you can connect with me over on LinkedIn, just Alex Powers. I love hearing what you're up to here, especially with data integration. If you're in other products like Power Apps, doing Dataverse and Teams development, I want to know, what are you doing? What are you up to? How can we make those experiences better for you? I just want to learn, and I want to kind of understand all the problems you're trying to solve, so that way we can help prioritize a lot of those features for our development community. But with that, we are at time, so thank you everyone for allowing me to hang out and just share some of my favorite things about Power Query. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And if you guys want to learn more about Power BI, but also to just get interesting tweets, follow Alex on Twitter. He's very funny. Or connect with him on LinkedIn. Are there any questions? I'm gonna go ahead and shut off the recording. No? Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording.